Alrighty, let's get going. Welcome, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people as the traditional owners and true sovereigns of the land I'm meeting you from, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders from all nations here this evening and to their elders past, present, and emerging. And I'd also like to acknowledge the Bunurong people, the traditional owners of the land we're talking about today. So my name's Ali. I am an independent facilitator from RPS, and I'm here tonight to host the information session between you and the VPA on the Moorabbin Activity Centre. So we'll get started with some housekeeping. If you do need captions, you can turn those on using the bottom toolbar on your screen. You've probably noticed the session is being recorded, so those who couldn't attend can go back and watch, or if you want to go over the presentation again, we'll have this up on the website for you. You won't be identifiable in the recording due to the webinar set up through Zoom, and you'll notice your cameras and mics are set to off, and the chat function's also disabled. You'll be able to interact with the Q&A function. You find that to the bottom right of your screen. So if you do have a question throughout the session, pop it in as we're going and we'll come to it after the presentation portion of the session for a Q&A. And we'd like you to use the upvoting functions tonight. So if there is a question you see that you think is important, make sure you upvote it by giving it a thumbs up to make sure we get through our top questions first, and just making sure we're keeping questions and comments kind and respectful. So our agenda for tonight, we have the VPA here to present to you their draft plans for Moorabbin. We'll run through a bit about the Activity Centres program, what we've heard from you, what the plans are for Moorabbin, what this means for you, how to have your say, and as I mentioned, we'll finish up with a Q&A. So now I will hand over to Zoe from the VPA, who will run us through the plans for Moorabbin.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Ellie. My name is Zoe, and I am from the Communications and Engagement team at the Victorian Planning Authority. I'll be running through a bit of the presentation today about our plans, and during the questions, I'll be supported by Trish, who's here online with us as the Strategic Planning Manager for the Moorabbin Activity Centre. I'm also joined in the back end, you can see there, by Kingsley from the VPA, who is supporting us with the Zoom session and making sure everything runs smoothly, as well as Elise, who's here from RPS just to support with any facilitation. And again, to make sure that everything's running smoothly in the background. So about our plans for the Moorabbin Activity Centre and about the Activity Centre program. We want to provide all Victorians with the choice of a well-designed home at an affordable price and in a place where they can thrive. And right across Victoria, not enough people have the chance to afford a home close to the people and places that they love. We believe that this isn't good enough and the status quo isn't an option. So in September last year, the Victorian government released Victoria's Housing Statement, which is a bold plan to tackle Victoria's housing crisis. There are 39 different initiatives in the housing statement, and the Activity Centres program is one of them. This initiative is about building a future where every Victorian can afford a home that's right for them. And making sure that new homes are well located will allow us to maximise the use of existing infrastructure and transport. So the starting point is to look for places where more homes can be built and the types of homes that we need to suit all kinds of Victorians in all kinds of places. So that's where the role of the Activity Centres program comes in. Its first goal is to enable 60,000 new homes to be built close to services, jobs, and transport in 10 activity centres across Melbourne. It's also about guiding investment in the things a growing community needs, like improved streets, parks, and community infrastructure. It's about creating clearer rules about the types of new development that we need. It's about providing increased certainty to the community about what types of new development you can expect in your neighbourhood. And it's about developing a process for creating clearer and simpler planning rules that can be rolled out across other activity centres around Melbourne. There are more than 130 activity centres across metropolitan Melbourne, and they range in size and service offering. They're great places for more homes because they have a concentration of services, jobs, and transport. The Activity Centre program will deliver plans for an initial 10 of these 130. Activity centres are great places for more housing, but they're also so much more than that. They're vibrant places where people shop, work, connect with friends and family, as well as live. And they're ideal places to shop and access your essential daily needs. They range in size. Some of them are small local neighborhood shopping strips, and some of them are much larger centers with universities or major shopping malls. The initial 10 centres represent a range of activity centres of different sizes and service offerings and locations in inner, middle, and outer suburbs. Moorabbin is one of our 10 initial activity centres because we know it's a great place to live. The shops, cafes, and restaurants around Central Avenue and the station provide walkable access to daily needs. The RSEA Park and the Arts Centre means there's always something going on locally. It's a family-friendly suburb with lots of parks and green spaces, and it's only a short drive from the bay, and Moorabbin Station makes it well connected to public transport, jobs, schools, and services. So all of these things make the Moorabbin Activity Centre and its surrounds a great location for more homes. Earlier this year, in April and May, we asked what you love about Moorabbin. So thank you to everyone who provided feedback, submitted photos, and participated in our community reference group. We heard what you love about Moorabbin, including the family-friendly back streets, including Jasper Road, Tucker Road, and Patterson Road. We heard you love the arts and culture, including the City Hall, the Arts Centre, and the local events that they host, and that you love the parks and open spaces, including the Moorabbin Reserve and Dendy Park. We also heard about the places that are important to you that you want to protect, which includes some of the local parks and reserves, as well as some of your important streets. We've used your feedback to make sure that our draft plans for Moorabbin respect and strengthen the things that make your area unique. A one-size-fits-all approach to planning doesn't reflect the distinctiveness and local characteristics that make each place unique. So we've used your feedback as well as input from a series of technical studies to make sure our draft plan respects what makes Moorabbin special. Our plans will guide how Moorabbin will slowly change over the next few decades, growing into a more lively, inclusive, and sustainable local community, and providing the new homes that we need between now and 2051. Our plans are guided by a vision statement. This is a statement describing the future that we want to see for Moorabbin. So for the Moorabbin Activity Centre, it's about it being a revitalised, green, and family-friendly place. It's about making sure that new homes make Moorabbin a more vibrant and lively place. And it's about maintaining Moorabbin as a community hub, a place of leafy tree-lined streets and pocket parks, as well as improving community services and local infrastructure. Our plan also sets out a series of objectives. This is the things that we're hoping to achieve through our plans. Our objectives for Moorabbin are to deliver around 5,000 to 6,800 new homes by 2051, to allow development between 3 and 12 stories in appropriate places, to support the delivery of new infrastructure, to support high quality architecture and design, respect the local environment and the local heritage, create clear and simple planning controls, and also support the delivery of affordable housing. In our plan, we've divided the Moorabbin Activity Centre and its surrounds into precincts. This map shows the precincts in our draft plan. So each one is based on the types of buildings, homes, and businesses that are already there, as well as the types that we want to see in the future. Each precinct has its own separate set of rules for building heights and setbacks to allow the right levels of development for each place. These are the large opportunity sites. They have a maximum building height of 8 to 12 stories, depending on the location. They're generally one large site that's all owned by one landowner, which means it has the potential to develop into a new precinct of its own with multiple buildings, new walkways, and open spaces. Compared to our other precincts, the large opportunity sites have more rules and controls that may require a developer to do things like develop a master plan for each site before they can develop there. Requiring master plans on these sites will encourage things like multiple separated buildings instead of one large building, which can also create space for walking and cycling connections and new outdoor spaces. These are the Main Street precincts in our activity centre with a maximum building height of 8 stories. These are going to have shop fronts on the ground floor with homes above, and the taller stories that have the homes are set back behind the shop fronts, like you can see in this image, so that the street remains sunny and open. These are the limited sensitivities precincts. That's the name of the type of precinct. They have a maximum building height of 8 stories. They're generally large commercial or industrial properties that offer a lot of potential to develop into new homes. Highlighted now are the fringe precincts. They have a maximum building height of 6 stories, and these are generally transition areas between the busier main streets and the more quiet residential areas. So they'll have a mixture of shop fronts and homes on the ground floor. Finally, for within the activity centre, we have the residential precincts with a maximum building height of 5 stories. These are quieter, more residential areas, and they have some potential to offer more homes. This larger area around the activity centre is what we're calling the catchment. This is the area that's within walking distance of the local jobs, services, and public transport, but it is not part of the activity centre itself. When working out where the catchment should be, we looked roughly at places within 800 metres or a 10-minute walk of the services and transport in the activity centre. We then excluded areas that are not appropriate to be in the catchment, like places with protected industrial areas or protected environmental areas. Building more homes in the catchment within walking distance of the local jobs, services, and transport is a common sense way to create a more lively, inclusive, and sustainable local community. It will also provide an opportunity for more housing diversity, including high-quality social and affordable housing. Our plans will make sure we build the right types of homes in the catchment in the places where they fit best. So you'll see small apartment buildings between 3 to 6 stories built here over time, mixed with townhouses and existing homes. Only the largest blocks of land in the catchment will be able to build up to 5 or 6 stories. Smaller blocks will only be able to build up to 3 or 4 stories, and some homes and buildings may not change at all. But our plans don't just propose things like building heights and setbacks and locations for more homes. We're committed to making sure that Moorabbin remains a great place to live. So one of the highlights from our plans is controls for better main streets. We want the main streets in activity centres to be safe, inviting, and vibrant. So our draft plan includes rules about active frontages, which means on certain streets, new buildings have to have space for shops and businesses on the ground floor with windows facing out onto the streets. This makes our streets feel safe and inviting, and it creates more places for local businesses to thrive. We also want important places like our main streets and parks to feel sunny and open. So our plans make sure these important places stay sunny all year round. This is usually achieved using setbacks, so the upper stories of a building are less visible from the street, creating streets and parks that are more open to the sky. Our plans set specific requirements to make sure important places are never in the shade, even on the shortest day of the year when the sun is lowest in the sky. And our plans also protect these places from negative wind impacts from new buildings. Earlier this year, we asked the Moorabbin community which streets, parks, and open spaces are most important to you, and your feedback helped shape our plans for these places. Our draft plan protects important places like Curly Rock Reserve, RSEA Park, Healy Street Reserve, Central Avenue, Station Street, and many more. We've heard from the community that vibrant places with green parks and local community facilities are important to support housing growth. Moorabbin already offers a lot of community services and infrastructure, including schools, community centres, and sport facilities, as you can see on this map. But as more people call Moorabbin home, we want to make sure the Victorian government and your local council can continue to invest in these things. We're exploring options for a new and simplified approach for funding infrastructure. This new approach could provide direct contributions for councils and state government to deliver essential infrastructure. We're currently seeking community input on the types of local infrastructure that matter most to you to help us shape what this new funding approach could look like. We have a question about this in our survey on EngageVic, so if there are any specific upgrades to local infrastructure that you would like to see in your area, please do let us know there. We also want to reduce barriers to building new homes and create more certainty for councils, developers, and the community. Within the activity centre, we're introducing a new tool called a deemed to comply standard, which will relate to things like building heights, street wall heights, and setbacks. If a planning application for a new building meets our new deemed to comply standards, it will benefit from a streamlined planning approval pathway, which could include the removal of notice and review requirements. And if a proposed new development within the Moorabbin Activity Centre follows our clear new rules, the council cannot use heights or setbacks as a reason to refuse the development. This provides more certainty and can prevent having to go to VCAT, saving time and money. This streamlined new process is designed to improve investment conditions and get more homes built faster. However, this new process would only apply to the activity centre and not to the surrounding catchment. In the catchment area, normal planning processes, including notice and repeal, will still apply. So how will Moorabbin change? Moorabbin will slowly evolve over the next few decades, providing the new homes we need between now and 2051. We expect larger and unused blocks of land will develop first, as they provide the best opportunities to deliver new homes the soonest. But other areas like streets with lots of existing homes on smaller blocks will develop more slowly or may experience very little change at all. So what does this mean for you? Well, first and foremost, our new rules do not require anyone who lives or owns property in the area to do anything. Once our plans are in place, landowners in the Moorabbin Activity Centre and its surrounds will have clear new rules to follow if you want to build new homes on your land. Each landowner can decide if and when they want to build new homes, and if you don't want to change anything on your property, you don't have to. Landowners will have more opportunities to build more homes, though, if they want to. So over time, you may see more homes being built in your neighbourhood and more people joining your community. In turn, this will mean more customers and opportunities for local businesses and a generally more lively and vibrant community. It also means more Victorians will have the chance to find a home that's right for them in the Moorabbin area. Now, that was a lot of info that I just ran through, but everything I've just spoken through is available on our Engage Vic website. Your feedback is important, and now you have a chance to have your say. Once you've read about our draft plans, please visit Engage Victoria to complete our survey and share your thoughts. Our survey is open until end of day on Sunday, the 29th of September. Once our survey closes, we will analyse the feedback we received and we'll use it to finalise our draft plans with the aim to implement them by the end of this year.